Welcome back, you beautiful walking contradictions, you silent storms wrapped in human skin, you misunderstood masterpieces they never saw coming. I've been waiting for you because something happened recently, didn't it? Something shifted in the air, something cracked in their perfect little world, and now they're all standing there in shock, trying to process what the hell just went down. Their golden boy, their chosen one, their untouchable champion, the one they built their hopes on, the one they respect like he was carved from marble and destiny. He got demolished, didn't he? And the best part, the part that's eating them alive right now, is that you're the one who did it, and you didn't even break a sweat. Let's talk about what really happened in that room, because they're never going to tell the truth about it. They're going to rewrite the story, twist the narrative, find excuses and explanations that help them sleep at night, but you were there. You saw it. You felt it. That moment when the air got heavy and the silence became so thick you could taste it. Their golden boy walked in like he always does, dripping with confidence, surrounded by his little court of admirers, everyone nodding at his jokes, laughing at his stories, treating him like royalty because that's what they've been doing for years. He's the one who always wins, the one who always has the answer, the one who makes everything look effortless, the one they compare everyone else to when they want to make you feel small. But then you walked in, and something was different this time, wasn't it? You weren't playing their game anymore. You weren't performing for their approval. You weren't shrinking yourself to make him look bigger. You just existed, calm, centered, unbothered, like you'd already seen the ending of this movie and knew exactly how it was going to play out. And he felt it, didn't he? He felt the shift, felt the change in pressure, felt something in you that wasn't there before. Or maybe it was always there, but now you weren't hiding it anymore. And that's when the performance started. 'Cause that's what he does when he senses a threat. He turns up the volume. He gets louder, more animated, more aggressive, trying to dominate the space, trying to remind everyone who the alpha is supposed to be. He threw his little verbal jabs at you, those subtle insults disguised as jokes, those passive-aggressive comments wrapped in friendly tones, testing you, prodding you, trying to get a reaction, trying to make you flinch. Everyone was watching, waiting to see how you'd respond, waiting for you to either fight back and look emotional or stay quiet and look weak. But you did neither. You just looked at him with those eyes, those calm, unbothered, slightly amused eyes that said, "Is that really all you've got?" You didn't defend, didn't explain, didn't react. You just let his words hang in the air like smoke, dissolving into nothing because they had no power over you anymore. And that's when everyone started to notice something was wrong, because their golden boy's attacks were landing but not doing any damage, like punching water. And they said, worse than boards. But because those boards were landing, but not doing any damage, like punching water. Then came the moment, the beautiful, devastating, unforgettable moment that's now burned into their memories forever. He made his big move, his power play, the thing he does that always works, always gets the crowd on his side, always makes him look brilliant. Maybe it was a presentation, maybe it was an argument, maybe it was some display of knowledge or skill or charisma that's supposed to remind everyone why he's the chosen one. And he executed it perfectly, exactly like he's done 100 times before, waiting for the applause, waiting for the validation, waiting for everyone to bow down and acknowledge his greatness. But this time you didn't just sit there nodding like everyone else. You did something that changed everything forever. You spoke. Not loud, not aggressive, not emotional, just calm, clear, precise, like a surgeon making a single perfect cut. And in that moment, with just a few words, just one observation, just one undeniable truth that everyone had been too afraid or too blind to say out loud, you dismantled everything. You didn't attack him personally. You didn't insult him. You didn't play his game. You just pointed out the flaw in his logic, the hole in his argument, the truth behind his performance. And it was so obvious, so clear, so irrefutable that everyone in the room felt it immediately. The emperor had no clothes, and you were the only one with the courage to say it out loud. His face changed, didn't it? That split second where the mask slipped, and you could see the panic underneath, the realization that he'd just been exposed, that his armor had a crack, and everyone could see it now. The room went silent, not the comfortable silence of people thinking, but that heavy, suffocating silence that comes when something fundamental has just shifted, when the hierarchy has just been challenged, when the king has just been checked by someone who wasn't even supposed to be playing chess. Everyone was frozen, holding their breath, eyes darting between you and him, trying to process what just happened, trying to figure out if they really saw what they think they saw. Their golden boy, the one who always has a comeback, the one who always wins every exchange, was speechless, actually speechless, standing there with his mouth slightly open, his mind racing to find a response, find a defense, find a way to turn this around, but coming up empty, because the truth doesn't have a counterargument. And what did you do in that moment of absolute power, in that moment where you could have twisted the knife, could have pressed your advantage, could have humiliated him the way he's humiliated so many others? You fixed your collar, didn't you? That small, casual gesture that said more than any words ever could. You adjusted your shirt, straightened your jacket, maybe brushed some imaginary dust off your shoulder, and the message was crystal clear without you having to say a single word. This is beneath me. You're beneath me. I'm not even going to waste energy being emotional about this. And that gesture, that tiny, casual, devastatingly dismissive gesture, that's what broke him completely, because it showed everyone that you weren't even trying, that this wasn't a victory you were celebrating. It was just a truth you were stating before moving on with your day. They watched him crumble, not dramatically, not obviously, but in that subtle way where a man's entire foundation cracked. His shoulders dropped just slightly. His voice lost that confident edge when he finally found words to speak. His jokes for the rest of the meeting didn't land the same way. His presence didn't fill the room like it used to. And more importantly, they watched you, really watched you for the first time, because suddenly you weren't invisible anymore. You weren't background noise. You weren't someone they could ignore or dismiss or underestimate. You were the one who just did what everyone else was too afraid to do. You were the one who saw through the illusion. You were the one who had the spine to speak truth when everyone else was playing pretend. Now let's talk about what happened after, because that's where it gets really interesting. You left that room and went about your day like nothing significant had happened. Because to you, it wasn't some grand victory. It was just you being yourself, speaking your truth, refusing to participate in their theater anymore. But them, they couldn't stop thinking about it, couldn't stop replaying that moment, couldn't stop analyzing every detail of what went down. Their group chats were on fire, weren't they? Everyone trying to process what they witnessed, Everyone trying to figure out what just happened to their untouchable golden boy. Some of them were defending him, making excuses, trying to minimize what you did, trying to convince themselves it was just a lucky shot, just a fluke, just one moment that doesn't mean anything. But others, the ones who've been secretly tired of his act, the ones who've been quietly suffocated by his ego, the ones who've been waiting for someone to knock him off his pedestal, they were having a completely different conversation. Suddenly they were remembering all the times he dismissed other people's ideas, all the times he took credit for other people's work, all the times he made someone feel small to make himself feel big, all the times they laughed along because it was safer than being his target. And now they were looking at you differently, with a mixture of respect, fear, curiosity, and something else they can't quite name, because you just did something that fundamentally altered the power dynamics in their world, and they don't know whether to be grateful or terrified. The golden boy, he's spiraling right now, trust me, even if he's pretending everything is fine. He's going through his memories, trying to figure out how he missed you, how he underestimated you, how he didn't see you coming. He's analyzing that moment over and over, trying to find what he should have said, what he could have done differently, how he could have won. But the answer keeps coming back the same. He couldn't have, because he was fighting someone who wasn't even fighting. He was performing for someone who stopped watching his show. He was trying to dominate someone who had already transcended his game. And that realization, that slow dawning understanding that you're not just another competitor, you're something else entirely, that's what's keeping him up at night. His followers, his admirers, his little court of yes men and yes women, they're confused right now. Their faith is shaken. The person they've been modeling themselves after, the person they've been trying to impress, the person they thought had all the answers, just got exposed. And they don't know how to process that. Some of them are going to double down, going to defend him louder, going to attack you harder, because their entire identity is wrapped up in his image, and if he falls, then what does that make them? But others are going to quietly distance themselves, going to stop laughing at his jokes quite so loud, going to stop agreeing with him quite so enthusiastically, going to start paying attention to you instead, trying to understand what you have that he doesn't. And you're just continuing your life like none of this matters, because to you, it doesn't. Not in the way they think it does. You're not calculating your next move. You're not planning how to capitalize on this moment. You're not trying to become the new golden boy, because you never wanted that throne in the first place. You just wanted to exist without pretending, to speak without filtering, to be yourself without apologizing. And if that threatens their hierarchy, then that's their problem, not yours. You fixed your collar and moved on, because that's what people do when they're not performing, when they're not seeking validation, when they're not dependent on other people's opinions to know their worth. But here's what they don't understand yet, what they're going to figure out slowly over the coming days and weeks and months. That moment wasn't about you defeating him. It was about you revealing yourself, showing them a version of you they never knew existed, or maybe never bothered to notice. You've been there all along, quiet, observant, learning, growing, building yourself in the shadows while they were all focused on the spotlight. You weren't trying to win their game. You were playing a completely different game, one with different rules, different objectives, different measures of success. And now that they've seen a glimpse of who you really are, now that they've witnessed what you're capable of when you stop hiding, they can't unsee it, can't unhear it, can't go back to treating you like background noise. Their golden boy is gonna try to come back. Of course he is. His ego won't let him stay down. He's gonna plan his comeback, rehearse his lines, prepare for round 2, try to reclaim his position. But here's the thing, the kingdom already fell. The spell already broke. The illusion already shattered, and no amount of performance can put it back together. Because everyone in that room saw something they can't forget. They saw him speechless. They saw him small. They saw him human. And once you see the man behind the curtain, you can never see the wizard the same way again. His jokes won't be as funny. His confidence will look more like arrogance. His charisma will feel more like manipulation. Because now they know what you know, that it's all just a performance, and performances only work when the audience believes in them. Meanwhile, you're becoming something they don't have words for, something that doesn't fit their categories, something that breaks their understanding of how people are supposed to be. You're not playing power games, but somehow you have power. You're not seeking attention, but somehow you command it. You're not trying to dominate, but somehow people defer to you, because real power doesn't announce itself. Real authority doesn't need to prove itself. Real strength doesn't flex, it just exists. And existence is enough. They're going to try to figure you out, try to decode you, try to understand your strategy, but they're going to fail because you don't have a strategy. You just have authenticity. And authenticity can't be reverse engineered or copied or faked. Some of them are going to try to befriend you now, suddenly interested in what you have to say, suddenly laughing at your jokes, suddenly acting like they always saw your potential. And you're going to see right through them, aren't you? Because you've been watching them for years. You know who was kind when you were nobody. You remember who ignored you when you had nothing to offer them. You can spot the opportunists from a mile away. You don't owe them anything. Not your time, not your energy, not your secrets, not your friendship. They had their chance to see you and they chose not to. They were too busy respecting their golden boy to notice the real thing standing right in front of them. Others are going to try to bring you down now, going to look for your weaknesses, going to spread rumors, going to try to catch you slipping, because your rise threatens their comfortable little world. If you can come out of nowhere and topple their champion, then maybe they're not safe either. Maybe their position isn't secure. Maybe the hierarchy they've been climbing isn't as stable as they thought. So they're going to test you, push you, provoke you, try to make you emotional, try to make you defensive, try to make you play their game so they can beat you at it. But you're not going to, are you? Because you already know the only way to win their game is not to play it at all. The golden boy himself might try to befriend you, might extend an olive branch, might act like what happened was no big deal, just friendly competition, just intellectual sparring between equals. He's going to try to bring you into his circle, make you one of his followers, neutralize the threat by making you part of his team. But you're going to see that for what it is, a control tactic, a way to keep his enemies close, a way to make sure you never challenge him again. And you're going to decline, politely, calmly, without explanation, because you don't need to explain yourself to people who only respect power. You just need to keep being yourself and let them figure out the rest. Here's what's really happening beneath all of this. Here's what that moment in the room really meant. You didn't just beat their golden boy. You broke the spell of golden boys in general. You showed everyone that the emperor has no clothes, that charisma without substance is just noise, that confidence without competence is just delusion, that performance without authenticity is just theater. You reminded them that real power is quiet, real intelligence is humble, real strength is gentle, and that the people they should be paying attention to are often the ones they've been ignoring. You didn't do this intentionally, you didn't plan it, you didn't scheme for it, it just happened. Because you finally stopped pretending to be smaller than you are. And now you're walking through a world that looks the same, but feels completely different. Because you're different, not because of what you did, but because of what you stopped doing. You stopped apologizing for existing, stopped shrinking to make others comfortable, stopped playing dumb to protect egos, stopped being silent when you had something to say. You started trusting your observations, speaking your truth, taking up space, being yourself without permission. And that's what terrifies them more than anything, not that you defeated their champion, but that you did it by accident. By being authentic, which means they can't protect themselves from you, can't prepare for you. I can't predict you, because you're not following any script they recognize. The room went silent, because in that moment everyone felt the shift. Everyone sensed that something fundamental had changed, that the old rules didn't apply anymore, that a new player had entered the game. Except, you're not playing the game, you're playing something else entirely. And somehow that makes you more dangerous than anyone who's trying to win. You fixed your collar because you were already moving on, already thinking about what's next, already focused on things that matter more than their little hierarchies and power struggles. And that gesture, that casual, dismissive gesture, it told them everything they needed to know. You're not here to compete with them. You're here to evolve past them. So let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them try to figure you out. Because the more they focus on you, the less they focus on themselves. And the less they focus on themselves, the further behind they fall. You're not worried about their golden boy making a comeback, because you were never worried about their golden boy in the first place. You were worried about yourself, about becoming who you're meant to be, about living with integrity, about speaking truth, about refusing to participate in delusions. And somewhere along the way, without trying, without planning, without even noticing, you became something they can't compete with, because you're not competing. You're just being. And being beats performing every single time. They thought that moment was about conflict, about dominance, about winning and losing, but it wasn't. It was about revelation, about truth, about the difference between who someone pretends to be and who someone actually is. Their golden boy is who he pretends to be, all image, all performance, all surface, and when you scratched the surface, there was nothing underneath. They loved you when you were obedient, when you danced on their strings like a pretty little puppet, twirling, smiling, bowing on command. You were their masterpiece, their perfect creation, polished, predictable, oh so agreeable. But puppets don't have souls, do they? They don't think. They don't feel. They exist to serve, to perform, to entertain. And you, oh, you played your part beautifully. You wore the mask, you swallowed your voice, you let them carve out pieces of you until there was nothing left but a hollow shell. Because that's what they wanted, isn't it? A version of you that wouldn't talk back. A version of you that fit neatly into their world, like a puzzle piece cut to perfection. No jagged edges, no sharp corners, just smooth, controlled. They fed you a sweet little lie, didn't they? Be good, be kind, be selfless, and you will be loved. And oh, how you believed it. Like a fool chasing the sun, thinking it would hold you in its warmth forever. But love, with conditions, love that demands obedience, that isn't love. It's a leash, a collar wrapped tight around your throat, yanking you back every time you dared to step out of line. And you felt it, didn't you? The invisible chains, the unspoken rules, the suffocating weight of their expectations pressing down on your chest. You smiled through it, laughed when you were supposed to, nodded when they needed you to agree, played the part so well you almost convinced yourself it was real, until one day something inside you snapped. Maybe it was the way they dismissed your pain like a fly to be swatted away. Maybe it was the way they only clapped for you when you danced for them. Maybe it was the quiet, gut-wrenching realization that no matter how much you gave, it would never be enough. And in that moment, oh, that delicious, terrifying moment, you saw the truth. You weren't their hero, you were their servant, a pawn in their grand little game, moving only when they allowed it. You weren't loved, you were used. And that's when the whispers started, didn't they? The ones in your head, the ones that sounded just like you but freer, stronger. The ones that asked, what if you stopped playing their game? But you know what happens to puppets who cut their strings, don't you? They fall. Or maybe they learn how to fly. There's always a moment. A single, brutal, irreversible moment when the mask slips. When the illusion shatters like fragile glass, and you see, really see, the game for what it is. Maybe it was a betrayal, a knife between the ribs from someone who swore they'd never hurt you. Maybe it was silence when you needed a voice to stand beside you. Or maybe it was nothing at all. Just an empty room, a hollow feeling, the quiet truth creeping in like a shadow. They never loved you. They only loved what you did for them. And oh, how it hits you, like a train at full speed, like a punch straight to the gut. The years you wasted, the smiles you faked, the sacrifices you made, thinking, hoping, praying that one day they'd see your worth, that one day they'd return what you gave, but they won't. They never planned to. And in that moment, the script changes. The old lines, the old rules, the old version of you, they all go up in flames. The need to please, to be accepted, to be good, it dies right then and there. You don't beg. You don't break. You wake up, and the world doesn't like it, does it? Oh no. They liked you better when you were blind, when you nodded along, when you stayed small, silent, soft. But now, there's fire in your veins. There's steel in your spine. There's a quiet, simmering rage in your chest that says, no more. Every hero's journey starts with a betrayal. But here's the part they never tell you. The moment you stop being their puppet, you don't become the hero. You become the villain. Now comes the fun part. The name-calling, the whispers, the desperate, angry little labels they slap on you like a child throwing a tantrum. Ungrateful because you stop sacrificing yourself for people who would never bleed for you. Arrogant, because you finally realized your worth and refused to beg for scraps. Heartless, because you learned to say no and meant it. Oh, but let's not pretend to be surprised. The moment you broke free, you stopped being a person in their eyes. You became a problem, a threat, because your existence, your strength, is a reminder of their weakness. And weak people, oh, they hate nothing more than watching someone rise above them. They don't want you powerful. They don't want you thinking for yourself. They don't want you free. No, no, no. They want you manageable, predictable, tame. They want you trapped in their little box, living by their little rules, bowing when they say bow. And the second you refuse, the second you step out of line, they'll turn on you like rabid dogs, spitting venom, spreading lies, convincing themselves, convincing everyone that you're the villain. Because if you're the villain, then they don't have to face the truth, do they? The truth that they never wanted you to grow. The truth that they only loved you when you were beneath them. The truth that they never wanted an equal. They wanted a servant. And when the servant stands up, when the puppet cuts the strings, the world panics. And in their fear, they lash out. They call you cold, ruthless, evil. But deep down, deep down, they're just terrified. Terrified of what you might become now that they can't control you. And oh, how delicious that fear tastes, doesn't it? You've done it. You cut the strings, tore off the mask, walked away from the circus they built around you. And for one fleeting, glorious moment, you breathe. But freedom comes at a price, doesn't it? You didn't really think they'd let you go so easily, did you? No, no, no. The puppet master doesn't smile when the marionette breaks loose. He rages, he schemes, he claws at the air, desperate to pull you back into his twisted little play. And so the war begins. Not with fists, not with weapons, but with words, sharp, poisoned daggers wrapped in silk. After everything I did for you, oh, that one's a classic. A little guilt-trip cocktail, mixed with just the right amount of self-pity. They paint themselves as the martyr, the saint, the victim, because if they're the victim, then guess what? That makes you the monster. You've changed. Ah, yes, the age-old accusation. As if change is a crime, as if staying broken, weak, tame was ever an option. They don't mourn the old you, they mourn the control they lost. You're being selfish. Oh, darling, if choosing your sanity, your freedom, your power is selfish, then wear that title like a crown. Let it sit heavy on your head, dripping in defiance. Because the ones who call you selfish, they're just angry they can't feed off you anymore. And if words don't work, oh, that's when they dig deeper. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the crocodile tears. They rewrite history, turn friends against you, paint you as the villain in a story they wrote, and the worst part? Some people believe them. But here's where the real test begins. The moment that separates the weak from the unbreakable. Do you fall for it? Do you fold? Do you shrink yourself back down just to make them comfortable again? Or do you stand firm? Do you look them in the eye, watch the desperation flicker behind their mask, and whisper, I'm not coming back? That moment, That delicious moment when they realize their strings don't reach you anymore. That no matter how much they scream, cry, or beg, you're already gone. Let them call you heartless, let them curse your name, let them twist the story until they convince themselves you were the villain all along. Because deep down, they know the truth. You didn't betray them. You just stopped betraying yourself. They point their trembling fingers at you now, eyes wide with betrayal, voices laced with venom. You've changed. You're not the person we thought you were. You've become the villain. Ah, villain. Such a delicious little word, isn't it? It rolls off their tongues like an accusation, but oh, you wear it like a crown. Because here's the grand twisted irony. You never changed. No, no, no. You simply stopped playing their game. They wanted you docile, weak, a puppet with a painted-on smile, nodding when they demanded, bending when they pushed. But the moment you cut the strings, that's when the story flipped. Suddenly, you're dangerous. Suddenly, you're a threat. Suddenly, you're the villain. But tell me, what's so bad about that? They say villain like it's an insult, like it should make you shrink, apologize, beg to be loved again. But you finally see through the lie. Villain doesn't mean evil. Villain means free, because only a villain says no and means it. Only a villain refuses to kneel. Only a villain chooses themselves over the approval of the masses. And that terrifies them. Oh, how they scramble now, how they twist and turn, desperate to shove you back into their little box. But you're done fitting into cages. You're done breaking yourself just to be palatable, just to be accepted, just to be loved under conditions. So let them call you what they want. Let them write you into their little tragedy, paint you in shadows, whisper your name like a curse. What they don't realize is that you're smiling. Because villains don't seek approval. Villains don't ask for permission. And the moment you embrace the role they fear so much, the moment you stop caring about their fragile, pathetic perceptions, that's the moment you become unstoppable. Do you feel it? That shift in the air? That delicious tension when they look at you now? Not with love, not with warmth, but with fear. Oh, they won't say it out loud. No, no, no. They'll mask it with polite smiles, forced laughter, and empty words, but their eyes, oh, their eyes tell the truth. Wide, watchful, nervous, because for the first time, they don't know you anymore. You used to be predictable, obedient, a good little puppet that danced when they pulled the strings. But now, you're something else entirely, something dangerous. Because what is more terrifying than a person who doesn't need their approval, who doesn't beg for their validation, who doesn't flinch at their disapproval? You see, people are comfortable when they can define you, when they can slap a label on your forehead and say, this is who you are, this is your role, stay right here where we can keep an eye on you. But the moment you break free, the moment you stop playing the part they assigned you, oh, that's when the fear creeps in. That's when the whispers start. They've changed. Something's different. I don't know what they're thinking anymore. And that's power. Because nothing terrifies people more than someone they can't figure out. Someone they can't manipulate, can't guilt trip, can't shove back into the tiny little cage they built for them. So let them whisper, let them stare, let them scramble to understand the new you, only to realize they never knew you at all. And when they finally ask, "Who are you now?" that's when you smile, tilt your head, let the silence stretch, and whisper, "Wouldn't you like to know?" There comes a moment when the old you dies, not in some grand explosion, not in a blaze of fury, no, it happens in the silence, in that cold, eerie stillness, when you finally let go. Let go of the need to be liked. Let go of the desperate hunger for validation. Let go of the fragile, pathetic version of yourself that spent years bowing, apologizing, pleading. That version of you, weak, trapped, a slave to opinions, to expectations, to the invisible chains they wrapped around your soul. But you, oh, you are not that person anymore. And that is where your true power begins. Because rebirth is not gentle. It is not kind. It does not ask for permission. It is raw, violent, unforgiving. Like a snake shedding its skin, you tear away the remnants of who they forced you to be. The obedient child, the silent worker, the agreeable, spineless fool, gone. You are something else now, something untamed, something unshackled, and oh, how that terrifies them. Because they don't recognize this version of you, and worse, they can't control it. This is where most people break, where they run back to their old chains, because freedom is terrifying. Because standing alone, without a master to follow, without a leash to pull you back, feels like standing at the edge of the abyss. But you smile at the abyss. You lean over it. You let it swallow you whole. Because deep down, you always knew. This is who you were meant to be. Not a servant, not a puppet, not a nameless shadow blending into the background. No, you were meant to be so much more. Master of your own fate, ruler of your own soul, the force they could never tame. And when you step forward, reborn from the ashes of the weakling they once knew, the world won't recognize you, but you will finally recognize yourself. Ah, the desperation, the scrambling, the frantic search for another you. Oh, they won't admit it. No, no, no. They'll act like your absence means nothing, like losing you was just another minor inconvenience in their well-ordered little world. But behind closed doors, behind those fake smiles and empty words, they're panicking. Because every kingdom needs a pawn. Every puppet master needs a marionette. And you were the best damn puppet they ever had, until you cut the strings. So now they search, they hunt, they try to find another you, another obedient soul to mold, another weak mind to manipulate, another replacement. But here's the part they never saw coming. There is no replacement. Oh, they'll try. They'll dress their new toy in the same role. They'll whisper the same lies, spin the same webs. But deep down, they'll feel it. The emptiness. Because you weren't just a role to fill. You weren't just another pawn on their board. You were the storm that shook their little world without them even realizing it. And the moment that truth slithers into their minds, the moment they see that no one else fits the space you left behind, oh, that's when the regret seeps in. But regret? Regret is useless now. The bridges are burned, the doors are locked, and you are never coming back. They had you once. They had all of you. Your loyalty, your time, your soul. But they gambled with something they never understood. And now they have nothing. And you have everything. Freedom, power, a life that no longer revolves around their expectations. So let them search, let them beg, let them drown in their own regret. It changes nothing, because once you become irreplaceable, the greatest punishment you can give them is simple. Let them live without you. Ah, here they come, the ones who scorned you, the ones who spat your name like venom, the ones who swore they'd never need you, crawling, stumbling back into your shadow, pretending it's just a coincidence, acting like they don't remember the knives they drove into your back. Fascinating, isn't it? How quickly people change their tune when the tides turn. When they realize that the puppet they discarded became the master of the stage. At first they'll be subtle, a message here, a casual, "Hey, how have you been?" A pathetic attempt to slither their way back in, pretending nothing ever happened, pretending they never laughed while you bled. But oh, you remember, don't you? Every betrayal, every sneer, every time they dismissed you, discarded you like trash. You remember the cold silence when you needed them most, and now they need you. Because power is a cruel little game. When you had none, they mocked you. But now that you have it, now that you walk with fire in your veins and steel in your spine, they want a taste. They'll dress their desperation as humility. They'll whisper apologies laced with manipulation. They'll beg, not with words. Oh no, they still have too much pride for that. But in their eyes, in their trembling hands, the truth is written all over them. The same mouths that cursed your name now speak it with reverence. The same hands that pushed you down now reach for yours, hoping for mercy. How poetic. And now comes the ultimate question. What will you do? Will you be merciful? Will you open the doors and let them back in? Will you pretend the past never happened? Let them leech off your power? Let them bask in the fire that they once tried to extinguish? Or will you watch them suffer? Watch them rot?